In closing, I just have a couple of remarks. And today you get the sense, and maybe it was COVID, and maybe it was Lahaina, but there is a different gear that we are feeling from our elected officials. I think who have known for a while that there are urgent matters in Hawaii that have become much more urgent. So I'm about to read to you a short poem that is the author of which is unknown, that actually describes a time of the past, because I actually believe it also defines a line in the sand that we will never go back to. Again, this is anonymous. The poem goes, this is a story about four people named everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. There was an important job to be done, and everybody was sure that somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. Somebody got angry about that because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought anybody could do it, but nobody realized that everybody wouldn't do it. It ended up that everybody blamed somebody when nobody did what anybody could have. Okay. Now that's anonymous, but I will tell you, I swear Billy Kinoy could have wrote that. Okay? Because that sounds like conversations I've had with him, you've had with him, and speaks of a time. We don't have that luxury anymore, and it is going to take a collection of somebodies, many of whom were on this stage today, several of whom will be meeting in an intense work session tomorrow to drill even deeper. But it's going to take everybody and a unified voice. And we will disagree and conflicts will abound, but ultimately there are certain things we need to achieve in the time that we are here. You know, and part of it has to do with, earlier today you heard Mayor Roth and you heard Congresswoman Jill Tokuda make references to canoe voyaging. And the inspiration they get from that talks about Archie Kalepa, the iconic waterman of Lahaina. And I told you a story about the day they left Hilo, and 2 days out, 6 of the 15 crew members become seriously ill. And the decision is made to break through and go and not return to Hilo. The distinction I want to make is that some of the changes and transformation that we are looking for on this topic has never happened before, which was the purpose of me telling you the story about the moonshot thinking, right? When President Kennedy said, we're going to go to the moon and back in 10 years, America did not know how to do that. But it held that focus. And out of this, we are going to have to give definition to a destination we have never been to before. And this will again take us back to voyaging, okay? When the canoe leaves Hilo today, they know Tahiti is there. And it's still an iconic feat, in my opinion, of heroism for them to achieve that, okay? And when they return from Tahiti, they know Hawaii exists. But in your mind's eye, go back to a time of the first canoe that left the South Pacific and had no physical evidence that this island and this collection of islands existed. That voyage is not for everyone. That voyage is for the crew of the first canoe. Those who are not on that crew have an important role once the discovery is made to provide structure, governance, policy, procedure, regulatory direction, and it's important that we do that together. But the voyage that we are on is not unlike the voyage of the first canoe. We are in search of a place we have not been to. And therein is where the transformation takes place. And part of that is because we have an identity that was given to this island by somebody very gifted on the first canoe. I can assure you that when the first canoe landed, there wasn't a committee meeting about what to name it. Somebody very gifted, perhaps of the Kahuna class, whose kuleana it was to bestow an identity on this Aina. And the name given, Ha, the breath of life, Vai, the fresh waters of life, and E was in reference to the spiritual dimension or the spirit of this place. Ha, Vai, E. Which takes me back to my maternal grandparents, right? She was born in Ka'avaloa, the north side bank of Kealakekua Bay. He spent most of his life in Kona, but was born on Molokai. And the stories that they would tell were intriguing to me. You know, my grandfather, at one point I said to him, how old were you when you spent your first coin, your first US currency? And he thought about it, and he said, 22. 22. 22 years old. And the first time he spends any US currency in person for a transaction is at age 22. It's because his family are farmers. They live close to a cluster of fisher people, fishermen and women. And close by are the hunters. Right? So in the life he grew up in, the farmers shared their crops, the fisher people shared their catch, and the hunters provided the protein they needed, right? And when I think about how simple that life is, there are lessons in there that we have to learn, which is about fundamentally sharing our resources. I realize it's not easy in a capitalist structure where competition is rewarded. Okay, but we're going to have to relearn how to live on an island. My grandmother taught me a lesson, and this will be where I leave it, actually. This island that was given this name is so special, right? Depending on whose vocabulary you use in zone classifications. There are 14 life zones on the entire planet, and this island has 12 of them. The only ones we don't have is polar tundra and Sahara. And we've got everything in between. And so about 30 years ago, I'm hosting a group of conservationists and scientists, the International Association of Range Management. So they're managing large tracts of land. So we're at dinner. And in their vocabulary, we have 12 of the 14. So I say in the course of dinner, who else has 12 of the 14? And then I watched all of the scholars go at it, right? They started in Canada. They're going through and they're debating. They're through North America, Central America, and they get to the tip of South America, and the majority conclude that even that doesn't have 12 of the 14. But this island does. So when you think about that uniqueness in itself, it gives even more understanding of the mana of this name. Additionally, we have a portal to the center of the earth, which is the volcano. I checked my phone, and at the time of Kaneala's collapse, at 9:30, the Hawaii State Emergency Management System issued an announcement that 150 small earthquakes have taken place south of Kilo West Summit in the last 24 hours. A portal to the center of the earth is our volcano. We have a portal to the cosmos at Mauna Kea. That vertical orientation between the center of the earth and the cosmos, combined with the horizontal integration of all of those different climatic zones, gives this place a one-of-a-kind, world-class identity that is destined to invent the solutions that not only we need, but other places on the planet need as well. And I'll end with this story that my grandmother left with me, and it has to do with this glass of water and the proverbial question, is the glass half full or half empty? A metaphor used all over the world. And early on we learned if we said it was half full, we were optimists. And if we saw it half empty, we were pessimists, perhaps even doomed, right? But Grandma had a different idea about it and wanted me to know it. And she said, look, the glass has been 100% full all the time. Half with the air we breathe, half with the water we drink, and 100% of it is filled with light. And that part that we breathe, we refer to as Ha, the breath of life. And that part that we drink, we refer to as Vai, the fresh waters of life. And E is in reference to the light or the spirit that is in that. The question you're asking about half empty or half full is adolescent, is incomplete, may even border on being arrogant. And until you learn how to value those things that are intangible, the way you do the things that are tangible, you will continue to repeat the same lessons in life. And everybody and anybody and somebody will be back at work. Okay? So, I invite you never to look at this glass or this question the same way again. Grandma made visible the invisible for me. But in this story is the very identity of who we are as an island, who we are as an island society, and who we are as a people of multi-ethnic ancestries who are embraced inside the climate zones, given the rare opportunity to live on an island that is rooted to the center of the earth and to the cosmos. And with that, I just want to extend my gratitude to the organizers. I've appreciated the time here and looking forward to tomorrow's work session. Thank you.
Thank you, John. That was done like no one else could. So here we are at the end of today's conference. But this is where the work begins. We will take the strategies, the next steps that were identified, and then prioritize them. We will identify what stakeholders need to be at the table for each of the priorities that we identify. We'll bring them together, and we'll continue this work until we meet again in a year to reevaluate how far we have come. We'll report this back out to all of you in the next few weeks. I'd like to mahalo Lonnie, who's been an amazing MC today. There is Lonnie. Done like no other as well. And I'd also like to take this time to thank the staff at Community First. If you could please stand if you're in the room. Crystal De Los Santos, who led the organizing of this conference, and her team, the steering committee, and all of the volunteers, our sponsors, our moderators, all of our presenters here today, and to each and every one of you for the work that you do to continually improve the health of our community. Again, we will have the second annual Hawaii Island Healthcare Conference in October of 2024. Until then, you guys take care. God bless, safe travels.